we have a 1933 Dodge, and well, this old girl's been sitting for a good 70 or so years. And I gotta say, I've wanted one of these old trucks like this for a long time. She does have the suicide doors. I mean, that's one of the coolest combinations on an old truck. You got the suicide doors, the long front hood and everything. Dodge and Terraplane made trucks like this, but the Terraplanes just don't exist anymore. And luckily I found this thing over in Tennessee. I don't believe that she was born as a fuel truck. I think someone put this on there for display. It's not even bolted on there, and it don't look like there was ever any brackets on there. But underneath the hood, she is complete, and I mean, she is complete. She's even got the air cleaner and everything on her. This radiator hose is kind of falling apart there. I don't think any of the plugs are rusted off in there. That's a good sign. Well, that one might be a little wiggly. Most of the time they get rusted off in the head. When you go to take them out, they break. And the engine is, well, I'm sure it's locked up. I tried earlier and, well, the belt broke. At least it's kind of rusted down in there. That's, yeah, she's locked up pretty good. Where's the oil at on this old girl? Over here. That's, oh. Huh. Well, looks like, I think the bottom of the dipstick, well, most of the dipstick is rusted. Maybe that camera will focus. That's just water. There is not a lick of oil in this thing. Cap, 5 quarts. Let's try this again. Now, that is just straight water. Not a real good sign, but a lot of times these things draw water inside of them. Starter's all there. Inside the cab, well, the doors are kind of tricky to get open on this thing. To get the door open, you kind of got to use the universal key here and a combination of, well, I think it's already loose. When you probably, well, that came open a lot easier than it did the first time. Interior in here, someone's put this piece of plywood in here, I think, rather recently. She was in yard art gel. As you can tell, she's got these fancy Christmas lights, but we're gonna get her running. And on the old odometer, I wiped this off the other day. She has 83,016 miles, which back in the day was a lot of miles on one of these old trucks. Transmissions, she's sticky, but I think she's stuck in neutral. This windshield I don't think's original. I think someone cut this at one point when they was using it for yard. Well, maybe not. I think it just rusted out of the frame. It's got some rust up here. And I guess she came from Randall, Iowa, and maybe she was a fuel truck or something up there. It says ALTA, Alta, on the door, and maybe it said something else. You can see there was some writing here. Well, it might have been a fuel truck. I think that says lubrication there, and I'm not sure what that says. Time to go ahead and pull the spark plugs out of the old girl. I'm not sure how bad that wind is on you guys, so hopefully it ain't too bad. The wind just won't quit blowing around here. I'm not sure what that's about, but it was blowing 900 miles an hour yesterday. Well, just pull these plug wires off. Now the problem with, oh man, yeah, there ain't much plug left there. That's what I was afraid of. Not much plug left at all. That was the worst design on all these old trucks, had that split down the center of the hood. The water puddles on these things, and 90% of the time, they break off. I'm gonna let that cook for a while and I'll get back with you guys. Should be fairly nice and warm now. Give it the old. I'd say she's pretty warm. Better let that cool down so we don't burn all the PB blaster we just sprayed in there. I'm gonna go ahead, I'll heat up all the rest of them, get them soaking, and well, we'll get them loose. I went ahead and heated all these plugs and sprayed them down with the PB blaster. They've been setting for a while. I also went through and heated a few more of them again, these back here, because they looked a little bit worse, but hopefully. Well, she came right out of there. You can see there's a lot of carbon on that plug, and it's rusted off pretty good, but these are the old ones, so they're really thick around the bottom, and that's why they didn't break off. Down in that cylinder, I can't see too good, but I did clean all the junk that was around the plug so it don't fall down in there inside the engine. Oh yeah, that one came out just super easy. Bunch of carbon, no rust. That's a good sign. This one has that weird green corrosion that they get when moisture gets in there, so I'm gonna say this cylinder is probably the one holding it up. See what the other ones look like. So far, we've got half of them out without breaking them. No real rust on this one. As you can see, well, maybe, none of these look too bad down in there. There's a little bit of rust and stuff in most of these, but the valves are closed on most of these though. These two, both valves are closed. This one, I think one of the valves, and nothing looks too terrible down in any of them. I'm gonna go ahead and mix up our acetone and transmission fluid. We'll fill these full, give it a couple days, and it shouldn't take too much to get this old girl unstuck, and less all that water in the oil pan. It might cause us some trouble. But once I get them filled with acetone and stuff, we'll drain that oil pan and fill the crankcase full of some diesel fuel. Go ahead and fill the old cylinders up, and hopefully don't take too long for it to soak and break free. I think these first few I can fill all the way up. Am I getting any down in there? The wind ain't making this easy. There's quite a bit in that one. That one's full. That's a good sign. The ones that both valves are closed in shouldn't be near as bad as the ones that have an open valve. Let the old girl set for a couple of days, and well, it's still windy. I got a battery hooked up there, and we hooked it up to the starter, so I'm gonna go inside and bump the starter, since the universal key don't really want to fit in between the firewall and stuff on this one, because she's made a little bit different than the other ones. Let's see if she'll break free. Prop this door open so I don't get trapped in here. Seems our starter ain't working for us, is she? I'm gonna go grab the universal key and try it that way. It just be that the kick down little nub on top of the starter's dirty, but I think that's the case. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, we'll pull this off of here, because we know we got power to it. Has that been welded on? them? Nah. I think it's just really corroded on there. Man, them normally break off or strip out. This might be an easy fix. Oh yeah, that nub's pretty nasty. A little bit of She should be good to go. Now that nub on the starter's kind of clean, we'll see if we can spark it and see if she'll work. Word of advice on these kickdowns, they got this little thing, and you think you know you can pull that in with your hand, but I have learned a valuable lesson. I have only done it once. Sometimes when you pull this thing down and you hit the starter, it will slam your hand either into the starter or the firewall, and you'll waste a good set of fingers. And I mean, it hurts. So just don't do that. That was our ground popping. She don't sound too bad. I had a 1/2 inch because I need to tighten the ground again because it's a little loose. Woo! Now, I always use a crowbar on this thing, or the universal key as I like to call it, and we're gonna see if she'll pop loose. Normally the part of the program where either she pops loose and you need a raincoat, or she don't pop loose at all. I think the starter Bendix end might be off of it. Huh. I think I'm pushing it in all the way. That's as far as she'll go. Looks like the starter's messed up. That may be why they parked the old girl. Got the old starter off there. Good thing is the ring gear on the flywheel's not broken off, because that sometimes happens. But the starter here, you can see she's a little wore out. Just a little. But it's moving the shaft back and forth instead of the Bendix here. This dude right here is rust welded on there. I'm gonna heat it up, spray it with some PV Blaster, and beat on it with a hammer for a while, and that should fix its problem. So everything on the starter's good except for that. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get the old universal key in there, and we're gonna see if we can break her loose with a crowbar. I don't know if this one is universal key friendly. It might not. Universal key might not work on this one. Oh, come on. I think I seen it move a bit. Let's throw some light down there for you guys. Oh, she's moving just a little bit. Oh, she's stuck. Had her on the run for a minute. Come on, old girl. Come on. Nope. Well, Let's move her the other way now. I hope you don't have a loose rod. There we go. A little bit more leverage down there. Once you get them broke loose, a lot of times, well, come on, old girl. I think she's free. Well, I'll be. That was pretty easy. I guess since it's a little warmer weather now, the acetone and transmission fluid's doing a lot better. In the cold weather, it don't seem to do as good. Boy, it's loose now. I think we got her whooped. We'll continue to hopefully crank her over with the crowbar. She's getting a little easier. She does have a sticky spot right there. Oh, there we go. This is something I really haven't seen before, at least not to this extent. This is our flywheel, and that's where a tooth should be. A tooth should be here, and they're kind of there, but they're mostly rusted off. It had all this gunk on it. Some of it's grease, but in the bottom down there on the transmission, it has that, I guess you'd call it dust cover for the clutch and stuff. And I'm going to say it filled with water over the years, and it was not too kind to our flywheel. I do believe there's going to be enough teeth for the starter to catch it. But I'm going to go ahead, turn her over a bunch more, and clean on this and see exactly how bad the teeth are. It should only be, well, it might be half the flywheel, or it might be a third of the flywheel that's like this. Just hopefully we can keep her whirling good enough when we get the starter on there that it can kind of skip that spot. She just don't want to break free for some reason. Oh, maybe she did that go around. No? Give her a push now. Oh, there we go. Looky there. Now she does what she's supposed to do. The oil pan bolt loose, and most of these are 1 1/8. In this one, I don't think there's much oil going to be in it. I think it's mostly water. Yep. Oh, it's got some of the good, well, at least she turns over. And that's safe to go on the ground because that's just water. I think there's a bunch of crud up in there, probably from the paraffin wax oil, but I'm going to let that drain for a while. You can see some water. It looks like it's dripping from the oil pan over there, so there's probably a few little holes in it. Huh. I figured we'd see at least a little oil. Man, I didn't think there was that much water in there. Huh. Drained for another probably 2 minutes and not a lick of oil came out of there. Oh, there we go. There's some chunkies in there. It's not real gritty. Well, there's a little bit of grit in it. Oh, man, yeah. Yeah, that's full of paraffin wax oil, and there's a little bit of grit in it. I'm going to go ahead, just go to the gas station, get some diesel, and we'll let this set overnight before we crank her over and get all that junk out of there that we can, and then we'll put some new oil in. Whirl her over, and she should spit out all the transmission fluid and acetone. That's why I got the floorboard there, so I don't get soaked. Get our old universal key here to hold the Bendix in, and watch out. Woo, I'm still getting soaked. Man. Boy, it does spray that stuff a long ways, don't it? It'll take it a minute to get all that out of there. grinding noise. It's nothing wrong with the starter. It's where there's less teeth on the flywheel from it being all nasty and rusty. But we got all that junk out of there, and it seems our board saved us a little bit from getting covered in all kinds of stuff. You guys didn't fare so well. Time to see what the points in this old girl look like. You can see this wire that goes to the coil here is, well, she's pretty rough, but we'll replace it anyway. Man, nobody just pop these off with a screwdriver. There we go. Maybe not. Oh, there's been some water in there. A little rusty, but at least it's all there. And, well, there's not much left of them points. I'm gonna go ahead and try to sand them and see if we can save them. And clean the points up and the distributor cap. If you look here, this little area where it's still corroded, that is because every time the little rotor dude goes around in there and sparks, it takes off a microscopic piece of metal in over, 89,000 miles or 83,000 miles. That's what you end up with. I'm leaving this wire on here. We're gonna see if it'll work. I'm not too sure if it will. Is if I undo it, it's probably gonna break, and if it works, I don't wanna break it. So hopefully it's not corroded and it makes contact and we don't have to take it off. Let's see. Oh, I heard something pop. Well, we're getting spark. Not much spark, but we're gonna need a condenser. I say the condenser's bad because there's hardly any spark, but at least it's sparking. So that means, well, we'll probably still have to undo that unless we just cut this wire and hook another condenser into it and do it that way. That's probably the best way to do it. Lack of spark was just a grounding issue, because now if you look like that, it'll get you good. Man, that seems to happen nowadays. It likes to shock you. Let's try this again. There, look at that. She's got good spark now. I think it was just the ground. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the distributor cap back together. We'll throw some plugs in it, pull the old air cleaner off, and see if she gets some spark. Good measure. I'm gonna throw a little bit of engine stop leak in each one of these cylinders because I'm sure she's a little weak on the compression. All the plugs are in there, the plug wires are hooked up. The plug wires are kind of rough now. They're probably gonna spark in a few places that they shouldn't, so if that happens, we will replace them. But we're just gonna see if they'll work right now. And we need to hook a coil up. The coil wire's pretty rough too, so I'm not sure how all this is gonna work. Let's see here. It's about time for this old truck to get a visit from the Ether Bunny. Well, let's give her a whirl. She didn't look to have any stuck valves, so bad ground. I see smoke. A little bit. Is she trying? There we go. Come on. Okay. I hear it arcing out somewhere in the spark plug department. Well, the spark plug wire department. So we're not running on all the cylinders. To fire off this go around, I went ahead and put a little bit more engine stop leak in there. And also heated the intake manifold, which helps the ether do a little bit better. I'm pretty sure it's just a compression issue, which is normal when they've been setting this long, because the rings like to be sticky and they don't make good compression. Well, there we go. Let's give her a whirl. Cross your fingers. Whew. It's not too good on that starter. There we go. Come on, old girl. She's a trying. Say, she runs and sounds pretty good. See how warm she is. Well, she's not too warm, but the way she picked up and started running, I'm gonna say we got some good rings. I'm gonna go ahead and hook up the gasoline and, well, we'll let her cool down. You can see the exhaust manifold's getting hot. But all in all, I mean, she sounds really good. I mean, really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and, well, we need some water in her here in a minute. Our radiator hose is kind of floppy, so we're gonna have to work that out, but she's a runner. I went ahead and scavenged a set of plug wires and a new coil wire. Well, none of it's new, it's scavenged parts off a bunch of stuff, but it should do the trick. Also, I went ahead and heated the intake up, so that should give it a little bit more of a chance to run off the ether. And I did put some more engine stop leak down in there. Well, this can's kind of empty. Let's try this one. We need our crowbar. No, we don't need our crowbar. And I did tighten the starter up, so. There we go. Come on, old girl. She almost had it. Enough throttle, maybe? That's what I'm thinking. No, I got it jammed open anyway. Never mind. leaking just a little bit. Okay, she's still on fire. I went ahead and got a radiator hose on there. It has water in the block. It's leaking out on the other side a little bit, but I think that's my duct tape job. But we're gonna fire up, see if she'll run on some gas here. And well, we got the pump sprayer hooked up, and we got a little bit of ether just to get her going, but she should fire up and run. I mean, she sounds real good running. I mean, let's see. That there, and need to, hopefully she fires up. I think she ran out of gas. I think that was, no, we still got, she's leaking. She's got gas in her. Maybe the seals are about gone in this carburetor, but she ought to run. I don't know what oh, I just dropped a screwdriver. That's what that was. She runs pretty good. That boiling sound is the gas dripping down there onto the exhaust manifold and the bubbles from around the plug because it didn't seat real good. But she runs really, really good. This is one of the best running, well, I guess sounds the best out of a lot of engines I've ever got running. And it's just a little 6-cylinder. Here's something that's sad. I went to reinforce my duct taping now that we got her running off of the good old gasoline because I thought it was the duct tape leaking, but if you look in behind here, you can see a crack in the block. It's a lot easier to see. That's where it's leaking from. I don't know how I didn't notice that. And you can see someone's welded it there. I did kind of notice that, but I didn't notice there was a big, giant pushed out spot there, and it goes to back here. That's where it's leaking out. I thought it was my duct tape job on that, but she's leaking out there. I guess when the water got kind of warm, everything kind of expands and it made it a little worse. But she runs pretty good. That's pretty sad. I'm kind of disappointed it's cracked there, but I think I could probably take that oil filter off and fix it. I mean, it don't look that bad. Maybe some grind, the bevel or something in it, and then weld it or braze it, and it shouldn't be too much to fix. I went ahead and filled it back up with some water, so we're going to start her up again. If I can find the cool wire here. I think she ought to start without any starting fluid probably, since, well, she's been running pretty good on the old gasoline. gotta say, for as long as this thing sat, and well, the motor was locked up, the carburetor's, I don't know how she runs that good. I mean, she runs like a brand new one. There were two things on this old girl I didn't notice: the cracked block, and she's missing a drive shaft. I don't know how I didn't notice that, because I hooked a chain up underneath this thing when I went to get it and when I pulled it off the trailer, but that's there. But somebody cut that because the engine was locked up and it was in gear, and instead of just jacking the rear end up, which is fairly easy, they just cut the drive shaft so it would roll. I'm kind of disappointed in that, but she runs really good. We got her running. I gotta say, this old girl for setting for a good 70 years, and motor being locked up and started being a little messed up, and well, a cracked block, she runs really good. I'm surprised at how good this engine runs. I'm gonna fix this somehow. I think I'm gonna get some, well, my oxyacetylene empty right now, and get some brass brazing rod, grind a groove in that and braze it like they did here. I don't think it'll take much to keep her from leaking, but she runs good. We got her running, and well, I gotta say she runs pretty good. Sadly, we couldn't get her driving because, well, somebody done robbed our drive shaft. But thank you guys for watching. Please consider maybe leaving a like or subscribing, because we got a lot more cool old trucks coming to the channel. And I gotta say, this is one of the coolest ones we've ever had on the channel, and one of the best running ones. And I'll see you in the next video.